Welcome to CAT125R, Public Rhetoric and Practical Communication. I'm so excited to be working with you all this quarter and encourage you to get in touch with me at any time with any questions you might have about the course or just to introduce yourself. You can always reach me via email. My address is here on this first slide, or you can always send me an email through the course website as well. In today's lecture, I wanted to give you an overview of the course goals and some of the technologies we'll be using in the course. I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction to some important vocabulary in the course with the what and why of rhetoric. And along the way, we're going to have some discussion of this week's course material as well. Let's get started with looking at the course goals. I'd like you guys to keep these in mind as the quarter progresses so you can think about the purpose of the work you're doing in your short and long writing assignments as the quarter goes on. So the first is to develop increased confidence and skill in the rhetorical and practical aspects of public presentation, documentation, curation, and performance online. So here we have a real sense of the practical goal of the class, to give you the opportunity to rehearse some of the forms of communication you may be engaging in your life outside the university post-graduation. We're also going to ask you to direct spoken, written, and digital compositions to multiple audiences. So here we have the idea that you're going to be working in different media, different genres, and also tailoring that work to different types of audiences. Along those same lines, you're going to test different strategies to organize those communication practices. So how can you best respond to a particular context to create effective communication? And finally, continuing with this idea of audience, how to make research more comprehensible and transparent to audiences outside the university. So taking the expertise that you've developed throughout your time at the university and translating that for audiences who may not share the same level of expertise that you do. In order to accomplish these lofty goals, we are going to need some get some really practical aspects of technology taken care of. And I know that the first week of an online course can be a little tricky to get everything squared away. So these next slides are really meant to help make sure that we all have a clear sense of what the expectations are and where you can find the important technologies for this course. So in order to participate in this class, the most basic things you need are regular access to a computer, not a mobile device, with webcam and microphone. So even if you have a phone or tablet with a camera and microphone, you're still going to need to use a laptop or desktop for your participation in section meetings. And this is because you're going to need to be able to share text files, you're going to be able to display slides for a presentation you're giving. So having access to a computer to participate in those section meetings is essential. To that same end, you need reliable internet access, and during your section meetings, you need to be in a quiet space, free from distraction, so that you're able to participate effectively in the section. And how you will get to those section meetings is through Adobe Connect. We'll be using Adobe Connect rooms to meet with your TAs. You'll be able to find those rooms at any time by clicking on the Adobe Connect link on the left-hand toolbar of the course website, and you'll see a link for each TA. You can look it up either by your TA or by your section time. Once you've joined an Adobe Connect room, you want to make sure to enable audio and video on your computer, and you can do that using the toolbar at the top of the Adobe Connect room. Your attendance and active participation in these section meetings is essential. It's really the only way to succeed in this course. I sometimes compare writing courses to lab courses in the sense that in order to complete the course, in order to really do the type of learning that goes on in a writing class, you need to be there and you need to participate. So your participation in section and your active engagement with your peers is required, and it is a graded component of the course. Another way you'll be engaging with the course material is through course lectures. And those will be, they're called Zaption tours, you'll see on the course website. And you're participating in one right now by watching this video. The Zaption tour is a tool we're using that occasionally pauses the videos and prompts you to answer a brief question about what you've just watched. And we are going to use those responses to help us formulate what goes on in sections, help us get a sense of how we might need to redirect the course based on your experiences with the lectures. So you do need to complete all Zaption tours each week. That includes an introductory video like the one you're watching, and then several other lecture videos each week. You also need to complete those tours on a weekly basis. So it's not something you can save for the end of the quarter. You need to view the week 1 videos in week 1, week 2 in week 2, etc. Your response to the Zaption tours are worth 10% of your grade. But like the participation in section, again, it's really just an essential part of your success in the course. The other major way you'll be participating in this course is through Piazza posts. This is the message board that we'll be using in the class, and again, you'll access it right through the course website on that toolbar on the left-hand side of the main course page. Each week, you'll be writing a short Piazza post. You'll receive a prompt for those each week, and those are due Sunday by 6 p.m. In addition to writing your own post, you're going to want to respond to at least 3 of your peers' posts each week. So you can take your time to respond to those during the week after that Sunday due date, but you do want to respond to current posts, right? Because this is the way we're really building a community in the classroom and building a network of writers and responders. So you need to be engaging with the current material in the course. Again, this is an important complement to what goes on in section in terms of developing your writing. You'll use these short writing assignments really are kind of pre-writing for the longer assignments in the course. So they really directly feed in to the other assignments you're working on. These are graded, so your original posts and your response to your peers together are worth 20% of your grade. So now that we have a sense of the way the course is working on a technical basis, I wanted to talk about some of the important vocabulary in the course. So as you know, this course is called Public Rhetoric and Practical Communication. So the what and why of rhetoric is something I wanted to address this week. We'll talk in more detail about rhetoric and the definitions of rhetoric next week, but for now I want you to think about rhetoric as both a productive and a critical art. What that means is that it's a field that allows you to produce effective communication, but also to analyze the communicative acts of others. When we're thinking about rhetoric, one important term is the rhetor. So this is the person or group who creates and presents rhetoric in whatever form it takes. In other words, the doer. So the most traditional idea of a rhetor would be someone like the President of the United States giving a policy speech, for example, so an oratorical performance. However, you are also a rhetor when you're working on a college paper or when you're producing content for an online environment. And we'll be considering all of these types of rhetors in this course. Another important term is rhetorician. This is the person who analyzes or studies rhetoric, the scholar. We could also think about this as a teacher or a co-learner of rhetoric. One of the first rhetoricians you'll be introduced to in this course is pictured at the bottom of this slide, Jonathan Alexander, who is a professor at UC Irvine and an expert in the field of digital rhetoric. He'll be introducing you to the concept of rhetorical analysis through a discussion of identity and Facebook, And he'll also be comparing two professional websites to give you a sense of how you analyze from a rhetorical perspective. One of the unique things about this course is that your position as a student in the course places you as both rhetor and rhetorician. So you'll be producing rhetorical acts in the course, but you'll also be analyzing both your own position as a rhetor and the position of others through some of the readings you're doing in the course, but also in your analysis of your peers' work. So this unique position is really evident in your first assignment for the course, which is a Piazza post, the critical selfie assignment, which asks you to analyze how a few different images of yourself relate to different identities you may project in the real world and online. So in this assignment, then, you're taking on both the position of rhetor and rhetorician as you are producing a rhetorical act. You're also analyzing your own rhetorical acts and those of your peers as you respond to their work. Before you start that assignment, you might want to watch one of the Zaption tours this week from Professor Tom Belsdorf, who is an anthropologist at UC San Diego. And he discusses in this video the idea that all of these identities you may discuss in your critical selfie assignment are real, right? Even if they're conflicting identities, even if some of them are online and some are offline, even if some are true and some are fiction. It's the idea that these can be expressions of individuality, individual identity, and also related to cultural practice. The final vocabulary term I wanted to go over with you is rhetorical theory. This is an explanation of how rhetoric functions and how it achieves its goals. Some of the rhetorical theory we'll be working with in CAT125R has to do with means of persuasion and audience and purpose. We'll really get into those two in next week's introductory video. We'll also be working with media, mediation, and remediation. When you move media content from one form to another. We'll also be thinking about forces, constraints, path dependencies, and codes. So what are constraints or limitations that may exist in a given rhetorical context, and how do those constraints shape your communication? And finally, network effects, so looking at the complex social relationships that exist online and how, again, those shape the context that produces a rhetorical act. So you'll begin engaging with some of this rhetorical theory in this week's reading. It comes from the Social Media Reader, and this week's reading, like all of the readings in the course, is available free and online. Again, you'll access that through the modules in the course website. Again, don't hesitate to be in touch with any questions you might have. I'm looking forward to the week ahead, and I will see you all on Piazza.